Welcome to Wickerson Studios. I apologize for looking like something out of the cabinet of Dr. Caligari, but I am going to show you in a matter of minutes what is possible now that they have the Python 3 editor available. And I have a full series of these test scripts that I'm going to be doing for the summer of 2024 for anybody who's been struggling like me since GH Remote to get the Python 3 advanced libraries in and running in Grasshopper. So what you'll see here is there is a very basic script which I have tailored to Grasshopper through using data trees and following some tree paths, but I am testing not only the systems library but pandas, matplotlib, numpy, scipy, IronPython, Ipython, which I think associate with Jupyter notebooks for some reason, and sciklearn. And this all works. There it is, running in this little node. I hit play, and all of a sudden, all my versions are showing that it works. This gets more complicated, and I'll show you how that can become complicated very quickly, that you'll see I have a very simple machine learning application of an iris that wrote itself and outputs the data, not really in tree form yet, but certainly in data frame form. So I'm calling this series from data frames to data trees, and I hope people find it very exciting. The instructions are here, which come off of the forum, the Rhino forum. It's not me talking, but from what I see, I can't remember the individual. This was the quote that I found on the forum that taught me everything I needed to do. So if you download and grab this file, you should be able in this series of machine learning to see the scripts, see them run, and get them up and running. The biggest trick is you can't bring in an environment numpy in one way and then cancel it out by bringing it in by matplotlib as well. There's some conflicts with pandas, sciklearn, and all those things. The guideline is simple. You want to go to a command line and follow your path to your whatever your user names. Mine happens to be sculpture. You want to go to your Rhino code file, find your Python 3.9, and go into your scripts. And from there, you'll see that will give you this kind of pip address when you click on here, that's the environment you want to be in. And if you're in that environment, you want to make sure nothing else is loaded in your command line. You might want to deinstall, pip deinstall all of those libraries in your regular command line, which you can access in Windows very quickly by going to command, and I'm sure there's shortcuts, command prompts. And you want to sit here and do pip uninstall all 6 of those libraries and anything additional. That's not the environment you're going to work in. This is going to be the environment you work in, and you want to set up your call that you are in that environment. And from here, you will simply type pip install and then all those libraries, numpy. And actually, I just go for sciklearn and see what comes in. But you might want to try pip install initially numpy, pandas, matplotlib, and there is kind of a crapshoot that I had to play with before I got this to work. But you could do scipy, Ipython. I just do pip install, sciklearn if you want, or you can do the longer version of scikit-learn and see what libraries pop up while you do that in this script over here when you go in and check out one of your libraries and see what popped in. And if I get on there, I think I'm correct to say that everything was brought in to that package. Possibly not that one. I may have to go in and find out if it didn't make an environment for myself and pack everything into this default. Looks like that's where it created it and put it in. But that will run through the scripts file if you're far enough into here, into the scripts. So that's what you need, that address, that environment. You'll have to do a little bit of do-si-do and find out how to input that and get into that environment. That's pretty basic learning. I think you should have that in your belt before you go farther into this. And then, in a sense, you can shut it down, leave Rhino when you do that, open it back up, and you should be good to go with and I guess I should probably show an example of that. All those pip installs happened here. Scipy, numpy, it should look like all this stuff that kind of falls through. And make sure everything's up and running. If you run into difficulty, reach out to me and we'll try and find out what the problem is. But the best thing is when you start to run this one at a time, Pandas does require a couple extra uploads. And you can shortcut an upload requirement by #R:, and then space, and then whatever libraries you need additional. So I've taken that and put that in here. These guys were still needed, and those additional requirements can be brought in. What you don't want to do is type in an additional requirement of something that's already in that folder. So don't put on something here and leave it and then reinstall numpy, and that's going to default and turn your node red. So you don't want to do that. So I've played with this enough. I run it, and sure enough, I've got all my scripts running. And what's wonderful is jumping over the GPT, I fully intend, if you will entertain me for a moment, this is the library I'm just pulling in. I feel like an ancient scribe that's just translating other forms of information. I do plan on interpreting all of this data visualization of machine learning associated with supervised, unsupervised, went to a link, and neural networks into data visualization in Rhino and Grasshopper, and I'm actually ecstatic about that and started that project. I'm really at a plateau that I'm like, what should I do not to screw this up? So everything I've done here, you can see there's a little classification project here with 2 classes. There's a little bit of running the script in the iris file. Over here showing the master script running. Here I took a matplot library that I left into the script that you can default and have matplot library pop up, but instead of a sine curve, I thought I'd build a curtain wall on top of that. Then I've got a few examples of playing off of different digital 2D visualization techniques with matplot library, and then scipy was running for me. I think this is an example of numpy off the start. Not sure why I cropped that in there, and there should be pandas in here as well. So using GPT to translate and find the scripts that work, that's the package that I keep adding to. Right now I've got quite a bit of scripts in there, and I think a little more than what's on there. I did start a website, another forum, which you know I love. This one's public. It's Machine Learning with Grasshopper, putting questions and answer. We've already got 18 awesome members that have jumped in. I think I just started that yesterday. And think about it. If you've been doing this type of stuff, you can use GPT and all of these senses of how to download this. And if you really run into trouble and you want to get in behind the bones, I can always send a link to these transcripts to give you access to the things that I'm playing with and struggling with. I do intend on becoming a scribe to things like textbooks, like machine learning, Python one-liners. All the things I've done over the years are all ready to go in Rhino for data visualization techniques. And I've called this kind of this Wickerson Studio node. It's just a master script of going from kind of data frames to data trees. And I use the example of a data tree right off the bat to extrude it. So hopefully you really enjoy that. You can follow these instructions. I am not copywriting all the material completely out of the book, but I'm using it as I can go to GPT and ask for a machine learning algorithm, and it immediately gives me the iris, because that's a sample of kind of inputting supervised learning to find out if something follows the strain of that iris or is predicted outside of that iris strain. And it's really wonderful to start to see these data sheets start to come out of Grasshopper beautifully, in the sense that you can start accessing CSV files, Excel documents. And if we think about the centibillionaires that own all the data they've collected over the last couple of decades, why not tap into all the public resource of what datas are? And don't do this as an engineer or architect solely. Don't do it as a product designer. Do it as an artist. Get in here and be creative with it. And I'm going to keep pushing this in my digital electives at the Kansas City Art Institute until it's found some footing and it certainly gets a little more support. So reach out to me, Michael Wickerson, LinkedIn, Facebook groups. I don't care. You can support me on Patreon. You can support me on PayHip. It doesn't matter. The reason I put nominal fees on things is to find out if there's any interest. But I am definitely sure that there's an interest in all those Rhino remote people, all those Python 2.7, and all those data scientists that want to do some new types of data visualization in a creative and amazing way. So once again, keep going, never give up, like the Energizer battery. Bunny Rabbit, don't worry about everybody else's opinion. Do what you have passion for, solve the problems you want, and keep going. Thanks.